quick sort of history line to the story and how we actually have ended up putting the dive trail on Gun Rocks. Because the project's been ongoing for a while. Gun Rock itself does exist, is mapped, has been mapped since about the 17th century, and at low water it is a lump of rock in a sound in which there is about 3 to 5 knots of current depending on the time of year. So where is Gun Rocks? Gun Rocks is actually, this is Northumberland, Newcastle, then you've got sea houses, and then you've got the Farne Islands. And basically Gun Rocks is just on the side of Brownsman in what we call Staple Sound. If you are trying to dive in there at the wrong state of tide, you'll end up in Norway very rapidly. So how did Gun Rocks begin? Well, Gun Rocks began back in the 1970s. Probably 1969 actually. Bill Smith had been reading all about the Spanish Armada and about how the final ships got chased around the north of Scotland, bearing wreckages on the way. And he knew of this site in the Farne Islands with cannon and decided the cannon must be from the Spanish Armada, because obviously they had cannon. And so what he did was he started up the Gun Rocks project, group of divers from our club, Tyneside 114 in the 70s, and he started the Gun Rocks project. So he's the originator. He actually died 2 years ago, and we've put his ashes on Gun Rocks. It was quite a moving moment. The family turned up, and I think a lovely end to a project that occupied most of his life. So they went out and they mapped Gun Rocks. These are the 2 rocks at low tide, and then they used pinions, which they put into the rock, which we're now not allowed to do. And they mapped these cannons. There's a group of 3 in the middle and a couple of outliers. It's a very shallow site. It's only about 8 to 10 metres, so it's very accessible by everybody. They also managed to get onto TV. Here's them on the ITV studio with one of the cannon that they lifted. This cannon cannot be found. We've searched and searched. We gather it went to the Great Museum of the North, then it went to some other museum. Can't find it anywhere. So if anybody knows of a random cannon in the Newcastle area, please let us know. It was quite a nice cannon, needed conserving. We suspect it was never conserved, and that's why it's disappeared. And lots of other artefacts were found, including sword hilts and various other things. We know of the whereabouts of 1 or 2 of these. The rest seem to have disappeared. Bit of an echo from the talk just before this one, really. So, what did he decide? Well, he came off the Spanish Armada idea when they started dating things, and came to the conclusion that the wreck which deposited the cannon was most likely of Dutch origin, late 17th, early 18th century, and one of the giveaways was this F mark on the back of one of the cannon, which is the Finnsborg, I'm sure Peter will correct me if I'm wrong, foundry in Sweden, where the Dutch were getting quite a few of their cannons made. So onwards, and a bit more recent, Andy Hunt, who is DO of our club in 2010, decided to set up the Gun Rocks Project 2 in order to remap the site and see what had changed in the intervening 40 years. And so the first thing they did was organised a NAS course. So they all got certificated in how to measure and survey wrecks, and then went down. This is bad viz on the northeast coast, by the way, everyone. So first things first, they had to clear off the kelp, and then they mapped all the cannon. Then after they did that, in 2013, Wessex Archaeology with English Heritage came back, and they were doing a big project around the coast, looking at whether they should protect wrecks or not. And the Gun Rock site got picked up amongst that, and they worked alongside Tyneside 114, which was great because our guys could go in the water and dive whenever they wanted, whereas the Wessex guys were all bound by working health and safety. And they produced a map of the site. So this is the first site. This is the shallow one, 8 metres. And they used a strange numbering strategy, 6009, 6000, 6007, for the cannon. Fair to say we've kept that to save confusion. So what happened? They did this photogrammetry thing, which we thought any special people could do. And it was really cool, and it brought it to life. It meant an awful lot of clearing kelp to get these pictures. But it brought it to life for people, and some of our elder members, Bill Smith was still alive at the time, and various other people were able to see these cannon while they sat in their armchairs. And I think as a project, I started realising what effect it was having on people. Another cannon there. And then the sketch fab, which I thought was brilliant. You can actually make it come to life, you can twist it round. I was going to animate it, but I thought it was far too complicated. But it's brilliant. You can just click on the link through Wessex. They've still got it online, and it is a really good resource. And also Wessex to the map. So this is the Wessex map, and this is the 2010 Gunrocks map. What we also did was compare it against the 1970s map, and yes, cannon have gone missing. Not sure how or why, and we know that one that got brought up got dumped back down and is now sat in this gully, still with a string round from when they dumped it. So we had the Wessex map, and then they went away. And then I started thinking to myself, gosh, so we've got 19 cannon over 2 sites. We've found various other things, including the lead apron, which is still there. We think the cannon were Finspång in Sweden, late 17th, 18th century. Whole range of different cannon there, including a 24-pounder. Cargo, not artillery. Now this came out because when they looked at the 3D modelling of the cannon and the photos, there was some with damage that wasn't damage sustained from dropping on the seabed or erosion. Definitely looked like there'd been some blown out muzzles and things as well. So it started people thinking, why on earth were there these cannon that were broken being deposited? So was it a Dutch vessel transporting cannon from Sweden to Holland that really got blown majorly off course? So, knowing that there was all this information out there, Jane's hiding her face, I decided to bring it all together in one massive report. A lot of work went into that. It brought in research from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and then everything we've more recently done. So I thought it would be really good just to have it all in one place. And when I gave copies to our older members who participated in the 1970s, they were really delighted by it. I ended up winning the Rec Award, and Jane came up to dive the site with us. And as you can see from the background, we can dive the site, we can get out of harbour. So, the last conclusion of that report was the general opinion has been that a dive trail of some sort would be a great idea for Gun Rocks. This is what it looks like. So many people dived it and went, where's the cannon? So we thought, right, let's do something, let's try and solve this. So first thing first was to get some funding. We got funding through Crowdfunder, which was a sort of BZAC idea, doesn't work. I think we need something more emotive, more humanistic, rather than we've got a bunch of cannon, we want to raise money to let people see them. Heritage Lottery Fund were very good, and thanks to Alison from Historic England, who is no longer with Historic England, for helping me fill in the forms for that. And British Sub Aqua Club Jubilee Trust, they also gave us some money. So we were able to crack on, to put our business plan together and said, right, this is what we're going to do. And as we heard yesterday, when you have a Heritage Lottery Fund, you've got to do lots of different things. So we've got leaflets, website, bring all that information together, make it accessible. We were going to search for the footage from the ITV programme in the 70s. And then public engagements, anomalies. When Wessex had done their original surveys, they'd mapped the cannon, but they'd also found lots of other lumps and bumps on the seabed that they hadn't had time to investigate. So they gave us a list of about 250 lumps and bumps that we could go and look at if we felt like it. And then photogrammetry, because now it's become more accessible, and Sketchfab, and we can put those together ourselves, or try anyway. And then MMO license, proceeding the dive trail. So, lots of kelp clearing. This is us in the process of kelp clearing. If you're ever in a bad mood, I can recommend this. It's an amazing thing to do. You just got to kind of get over that you are cutting stuff back, but it was included in the license. And I tell you what, kelp grows back incredibly quickly. This is our very own Peter Knott, scrubbing away at a cannon so that we get the photogrammetry without sea urchins climbing in there. I tell you what, those sea urchins will come back in 12 hours. They are so quick at climbing back on the cannon. And the trusty club rib that got used for the access to the site, because it was really easy to do. So we were out there, and it's always sunny in the north. We also dived the second site in the Sound, where we've got about 7 cannon. And these ones suffered different types of degradation. It's got a bit of a sort of blown out muzzle there. Less kelp in the sand, but you've got the risk of a very short slack water and you might end up in Norway if you don't get it right. So, put the website together. This is a bit of a learning process for me. I decided to do it myself. And I turned it into a big portal for information with photographs, a blog. I update the blog when anything really interesting happens. You can download the maps right off the front page, because apparently people couldn't quite understand how to use the dive trail button, so it's now right on the front page. And whenever people give me feedback, I react to it. So when people said, we looked at the map and we didn't understand the scale, the next week I had totally changed the scale, so it was a bit more understandable. So if you have any feedback on the site, like I gather one of the older movie clips I've put on there doesn't work at the moment, I'll correct it. So do feedback, it's always ongoing. And loads of information on there, all the reports that have ever been published on the site are on there, and everything I've written as well, because I quite like writing reports. These were all the anomalies that we dived. This is Gun Rocks, the main cannon sites in here and here, and we dived these, and we found 2 more cannon last year. Actually, last year and the year before we found 2 more cannon. So there's still things to be found on that site, definitely. This was our stab at photogrammetry. It's got a lot better. Unfortunately, these were the only photos I had to hand for this talk, but we do have a couple more better ones. This is actually a pile of 3 cannons, so it was quite hard to put together. And then there was 1 cannon which looks beautiful now, but it took me 800 photos and 3 dives to get it there. So it's all been a learning process, which is fantastic. That's what it's about. Put the leaflets together as well. You can see I've sort of put the dive trail in the background. This was the scale that people didn't understand. I thought 2 cannon equals about 5 metres, which is quite straightforward, but apparently not. So this is the archaeology leaflet, and being an ecologist, I had to insist on having an ecology leaflet as well, because I was diving the site principally off the ecology side of things. Yes, I can organise a project, but I've been logging all the marine life on there. I've been doing sea search forms, and I found a cannon that generally always has an octopus under it, so I was going to say hello to him when I drop in. Whereas Peter has been doing all the measuring and looking at the cannon and doing the history, and then various other people have been doing other jobs, including some of our non-diving members who've been going around archives and looking up information as well. That's all been going on the website. So, before we put the dive trail in, we need an accurate map. You might notice something about these 2 maps. This is the map drawn by Wessex Archaeology, and this is the one that we've produced. It's about a 45-degree difference between north. So what we discovered in a light bulb moment was, why is nothing fitting? And I remember Peter and Simon were sat in the camper van with a cup of tea after a long day's dive and said, hang on a minute, if we rotate everything about 45 to 60 degrees, it fits. And that's essentially what had happened. So when you were looking at the rocks at low water and compare them to the underwater topology, it doesn't quite work. And so what was happening was these were being compared to the low water rocks, and these ones we compared to the underwater rocks. And it twisted the map around and made it all fit perfectly. So, get the dive trail in, we've got the map, now we need to do the dive trail. We needed to get an MMO licence, was not straightforward, was not cheap. I applied in May, it cost £450 to deposit a rope on the seabed. There's no fixings, there's no ties, there was no moving anything. We simply were putting a rope around the cannon and making the trail. £450, they lost the application, it got delayed, blah, 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 blah. We got it in September. We couldn't put the dive trail in September because it was the end of the dive season, it would have just got destroyed over the winter. So it got delayed, then we had Beast from East 1, Beast from East 2, Beast from East 3. So I had to ask for a slight extension on funding, and we installed it in May 2018. And this is the team that put the dive trail in. Might notice Peter there. Me trying to look happy in the sunshine. See, blue sky again. And this is the dive trail we put in, and we're still getting feedback on it. So we've got the shot going down to the pile of 3, and one of the 3 sticks up and is affectionately known as Sticky Uppy. So, and then we've got the cannon in the gully. And so feedback at the moment is they like the map, but lots of people go there and then there's a traffic jam. So I've been arguing for ages that we should loop round here and then come back down. So we're open to feedback, what people say, we'll listen to, etc. The storms last spring did change the site quite a bit, so there probably is more room to put a loop in it. It's just the rate at which the kelp grows back is quite phenomenal. On the back of the map we've put some information. Now through the photogrammetry and everything we've done, we've actually found out that one of the cannon, or at least one of the cannon, is British. So we've now got what we think is a Dutch merchant vessel with English and Dutch cannon on it, some blown out. So we're wondering if they're being recycled, taken back to the foundry. So the history of this wreck is still not really known, it's still open to debate. We're going to try this summer to get some better photos for the photogrammetry and get some more experts to look at them. And really just see what's out there. The reason for the website and a lot of the publicity is I know there are dive clubs on the east coast of the UK that have got sword hilts in their attic, they've got a box with an inscription in the attic, various things that might just help us identify this wreck. So it's very, very much ongoing. This is the team that dived it on the opening day of the trail. Managed to get all our club out. They seem to prefer diving on hard boats. So, into next year, more photogrammetry, more research. Also heard a story from our sealman Ben Burville that he was diving on there in February a couple of years ago after a big storm and found timbers embedded and concreted into the seabed in a slightly different area to where the cannon are. So I think more research is going to be required in that. And I think the latest thought was we might see if we can get hold of a metal detector, see what pops up. So there we go.